Hamas must be eradicated and fully done away with. Well, welcome to Israel Frontlines Update. I'm Bishop Robert Stearns. This is your weekly gathering together. We come together once a week to look at events in Israel and the Holy Land, the greater Middle East, to really discern and understand from a thoughtful perspective, a historic perspective, a first-person account perspective, what in the world is going on. Because even preparing for this program, I was looking into the situation in Aleppo, and I'm telling you, I went down this bunny trail online because there is so much propaganda that ends up online. And you can be reading two articles on the exact same situation, and it's just radically different. This is why firsthand frontline information is vital. I've been going and coming to Israel for 32 years. I've visited Jordan, Egypt, surrounding Arab nations, oftentimes into Judea, Samaria, the West Bank, into Bethlehem. And so we want to bring you a perspective that you're really not going to get anywhere else. Now, I want to celebrate a milestone with you that we together reached this week. We hit 25,000 subscribers to this channel and over 1 million views to this channel. And we just launched this content 5-6 months ago. So this is remarkable growth. Now, here's the really interesting thing about this. When we study the analytics, we see that most of you, actually the majority who tune in and watch, you are not subscribed. So you're not a part of that 25,000. So if you have not subscribed, go right now and just touch the subscribe button. And then you can also touch the notifications button if you'd like. Follow the page, like the page, but subscribe so that we can continue to grow this Frontlines reporting to you week after week. All right, let's dive into a lot of what is going on this week surrounding Israel. First of all, some incredibly sad news. And we want to express our condolences to the family of Captain Omar Nutra. He was a New York resident, my home state, 21-year-old. I have a 21-year-old son. 21-year-old New York Jewish boy who, when Israel came under attack, felt compelled to go back to this land of his forefathers, even though he was an American-born citizen, and to stand with his people. He was captured on October 7th. He was held hostage for over a year. And just this week, his death has been confirmed. This is incredibly sad, incredibly heartbreaking. I can't imagine for his family, as Hanukkah is approaching, this time of holidays, what they are going through. Prime Minister Netanyahu said this: "We will not rest and we will not be quiet until we bring them home to be buried in Israel. And we will continue to act decisively and without faltering until we return all of our kidnapped, the living and the fallen. May Omar's memory be blessed." Incredibly sad and a horrible reminder of what the world seems to be forgetting, that there are still 100 hostages held by Hamas. One by one, they're being killed over a year. This is inhumane treatment. There is no way that any sane society can look at this and say that this is an effort towards peace or coexistence. Hamas must be eradicated and fully done away with. We have a lot of work to do to educate the population of Gaza towards a position of peace. The population of Gaza for decades has been radicalized by UN-funded education programs which have brainwashed their children into this mentality. The results are tragic. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump issued this response to the death of American-Israeli hostage Omar Nutra. Trump said that there would be all hell to pay if the hostages were not released by the time he takes office on January 20th. He said everybody's talking about the hostages, but it's all talk and no action. Those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in a long time. Release the hostages now. My good friend, Mike Huckabee, who we congratulated last week on his appointment to the ambassadorship for Israel, said there must be serious consequences for holding any hostage, but America needs to exact severe consequences for kidnapping and murdering American hostages. And so let's continue to pray for President-elect Trump, pray for Bibi Netanyahu, pray for Governor Mike Huckabee as they prepare to continue on in this fight that so far, over a year later, has not diminished at all. Now, meanwhile, in the north, in Lebanon, there have been ceasefires that have started and stopped and started and stopped. We have to understand, when you have a nation, a tiny, tiny nation, smaller than the state of New Jersey, and it is the only Jewish nation on earth. And when Jews are being attacked in Amsterdam, but listen to this report, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, authorities arrested 22-year-old Chicago resident Mohammed Abdali, who shot a Jewish man walking to synagogue services. Jews are being attacked, shot, killed around the world. There is only one nation on earth currently where Jews can feel confident that they are safe, and that is the state of Israel. So they are going to fight with everything within them. They're going to fight without any reservation whatsoever to protect the tiny and only piece of land that is theirs on planet Earth. We should not be surprised when Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, the Houthis, when they ramp up their diatribes, when they ramp up their rhetoric, Bibi and the Israelis are going to take them seriously. You can rest assured they are going to defend the only Jewish homeland on planet Earth. Bibi Netanyahu said this, he said, "We will not return to the situation of October the 6th. In other words, on October the 6th, I was there in Jerusalem. Their guard was down. They were hopeful of some kind of coexistence with their neighbors. They were ignoring the threats. And 1,200 Jews were brutally, brutally assassinated. Hundreds more kidnapped. They're not going back to this situation. And that's why the work of Jerusalem-centered Christianity is so absolutely urgent. That is why I need your help here at the end of the year. If this broadcast helps you, if you believe that our work with Abraham's Bread, our work with the Forest of Life, maybe you don't know about these, but if you've been looking to say, God, I feel this stirring to understand more about Israel, to understand more about the Jewish people, I'm looking for a place. Well, you found it. This is your weekly address here at the Israel Frontline update. Now, you can also join us every Tuesday for Torah Tuesdays. It's completely different. It's a Bible study, but it is the largest Jewish Christian Bible study that we know of in the whole world. We have hundreds of people who join us every single week on Torah Tuesday, and we want to invite you to be a part of that as well. Now, interestingly, President-elect Trump has tapped another family member, father of his son-in-law, who is a Lebanese. He's a Lebanese Arab, and he has tapped him to assist him in all of his commitments towards the Middle East. Let's please remember that it was President Trump who brokered the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords were a sea change in Middle Eastern political reality because it demonstrated that moderate, modern Arab Muslim nations who wanted to enter the modern world and leave behind their blind hatred of the Jews, their blind hatred of the West, and begin to normalize, and we can only pray that what follows this will be other human rights, like rights for women, rights for religious minorities, et cetera, but one thing at a time. These Arab nations began to normalize through the Abraham Accords. And so now, as I've been telling you the past few weeks, and listen for it, all eyes are on Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the geographic epicenter of Islam. It's the home to Mecca and Medina, the two holiest sites in Islam. And yet they're in this ideological power struggle right now, this religious geopolitical power struggle with Iran. Iran is taking the lead with this harsh jihadist fascist Islam, and Saudi Arabia really does not have the level of military might that Iran does. And so Saudi Arabia feels vulnerable in terms of Iran's capabilities. And so Saudi Arabia is inching towards the West, inching towards normalizing relationship with Israel, which of course would help immensely in their relationship with the United States, with Europe, and with other parts of the modern world. So pray for Saudi Arabia. Pray for what's happening in the Middle East. This is a time to be what God has called us to be, watchmen on the wall. If you haven't gone through the Watchmen on the Wall curriculum, it's a fantastic starting place for you to go through to learn more about these situations in Israel and the Middle East. This week, again, we honor our slain countryman, my fellow New Yorker, Omar Nutra, a tragedy. We extend our deepest sympathies and condolences to his parents, to his family. And our prayer for all of us as we look now towards the holiday season is that God will indeed bring peace into our world. And we as Christians believe that this peace comes through following the Prince of Peace, Jesus, who was born in Bethlehem, who was born into this Middle Eastern reality, born into a Jewish lineage. He is known as the Son of David. And so we're restoring that identity to Jesus. The biblical Jesus is the Jewish Jesus. And if we're going to be followers of his, we have to be concerned about what's happening in his homeland and with his family. And that's what we bring you week after week on Israel at the Frontlines. Tune in next week. I'll see you then. Subscribe. I'll talk to you soon, and keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem.